Madam Chair, you're live.
Okay. I'm going to call the meeting of the Affordable Housing and Community Equity Development Commission to order. And the first order of business is the roll call. And Patrick Sheridan,
Here.
Rich Halverson,
Here.
and as I said before, we were hoping that others would be here, but they don't seem to be. So we'll go on from there. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from May 23rd. As did you get the minutes so that you saw them?
Yeah, I'll make a
Okay.
motion to approve them. I didn't see anything needed to be changed.
Okay, all right.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now here we are, and so the minutes of May 23rd, 2024 have been approved. Now we're on to the fourth item on our agenda, which is the new alderman, whose name is Harry Huntley. Does anyone know him? No?
Nope.
Okay. Perhaps we should try to get to know him. I saw that although he does not mention housing as one of the areas that he's going to be interested in, he is on the health and he's on Dewan's subcommittee, or on Dewan's committee. So he will certainly be dealing with housing issues. I saw in a statement, I guess, on the press release announcing his appointment to the council that he wanted to deal with the well-being of everybody over the course of time. But there were nothing specific about housing or any other specific policy areas that he was interested in necessarily. And he has a background in agriculture and economics. So I don't know what that means. I guess maybe we should I'll try to watch one of the committee hearings to see if I can get a better picture of who he is. He has already announced that he will run for the seat next year. So we should probably try to figure out who he is and get him acquainted with our commission.
Maybe
We
should
probably
get
should
to the
invite him
meeting.
to one of the commission meetings,
Yeah.
to next month's commission meeting, depending on what the agenda will be. But we should invite him to the meeting, and I think that would be good.
I was on the last commission or the committee meeting, Ron's committee, because they were considering the $500,000 shift from rental rehab over.
Finally, yeah.
And Harry was on that call.
Oh,
And,
good.
he seemed, pretty favorable to the idea. He seemed to understand it. I'm trying to remember if I got this right or not, but I think he mentioned something about having a grandfather or mother that lived in public housing in Baltimore or something or other at one point.
Wow.
Whatever it was, he seemed like a good addition. Anyway, I'll put it that way.
Good.
I think it would be great if we could get to know him a little bit more
Yeah.
and see what his interests are.
Yeah,
he was engaged. Yeah.
good, because one of the things that obviously we have to deal with is trying to get the city and the aldermen to be interested in the topic and to work with us to try to do some things. It's a hard road we have ahead of us, I'm afraid, but it's good to know that he was on the call. Did the committee did they approve the transfer of the funds?
Well, the committee did. It still had to go to council, I think. I mean, the problem was that it needed to be approved by ethics and by finance and by housing, health and human services, and then it was gonna get approved by the, so it's taken
It's
a
a
lot
long
longer
road.
than it should. But,
Yeah, I talked to Teresa yesterday or the day before. Um, and she is enjoying retirement, doing a lot of relaxing and doing the ladies who lunch, things of that nature. But she was saying she watched, I think she watched that as well because she's been trying to follow the transfer of those funds. I know she wrote a memo or whatever before she left to get them to approve that. Okay, well, then we shall invite Alderman Huntley to the next meeting and see if we can get to know him.
Yep.
Okay, all righty. Next item on the agenda is the big item on the agenda, which is the workforce housing legislation. And see if we want to do a revival of that, and if we have anyone who would support such a revival. And I put the county's MPDU legislation there as well. And I don't know if you all got Elijah sending us a link to the county's website that had all the information about it, but there's a lot of stuff in their MPDU legislation that's very similar to some of the things that we have in our workforce housing legislation. They're talking about, at least in their descriptions, not in the language itself, but in their descriptions, about the missing middle and changes in the zoning code to approve duplexes, triplexes, and quadruplexes, and all the things that we were trying to do. And they have a reduction in fees, things like that. So it seems if the county can approve something like that, I'm hard pressed to figure out why the city can't, but especially since we already have an MPDU statute and program, which Denise can tell us more about if there's any changes since we last talked about it.
Well, everything that we have for the rental side, we only have the 1901 West Street, Bell Annapolis. That contract is ending July of 2026. So I think we have 18 units over there. And so once that ends, they go to market rent, and the people can barely afford the MPDU rents, because this year, for some reason, the rents jumped so high when we got the new income limits, and they jumped. And some, I think I want to say, like on the 2 bedrooms, they might have gone up $200.
Ooh.
And so that was a big jump, but that has everything to do with the statistical data that HUD,
Yeah.
And that was like a gut punch to the people that rent, because their salaries sure didn't go up that much. And so I'm a little concerned about, we don't have anywhere left to develop. I think Parole Place right now, they weren't under the obligation of giving us MPDU units, but I can't remember the gentleman's name, the developer, but I happened to run into him on the elevator, and I begged him to give us MPDU units. And I think they're doing rental and condos over at Parole Place, but the legislation changed. So when they put in their application, they weren't required to do it. They could do the fee in lieu of, I guess. But I think he's had a change of heart. I just kind of said, please help us, but the people here need a place to live. And then they're going to do some for sale. So I hope that we can get, I don't care if it's 20.
Something out of it. Yeah.
Something out of it. I'm just wondering, Nancy, while we're on that topic, if this is something that's worth visiting. Maybe we can get our council to maybe approve maybe some tax credits on existing property owners if they give us a handful of units for affordable units. Maybe the city can offer some kind of tax credits to them. I mean, I
There are no
don't,
city tax, there are no, I don't think that they have the authority under city. I don't think the city has taxes that they can forgive or,
yeah, yeah.
well, yeah, they do have, they have the real
'Cause
estate taxes that they can forgive. But, it would almost be like a payment in lieu of taxes that you would
yeah, yeah, yeah.
negotiate with
I
them.
don't care if every property owner gave us 2 units, how many units of all the communities in Annapolis, how many units could we get out of that? It's just something to be, we got to come up with some creative ways. If
Mhm.
we don't have, I'm talking about specifically the MPDU program, but then again, with the redevelopment of the public housing, they can add 700 additional units, but where are we going to put them? Where are we going to put 700 additional units? So it's just something to kind of spread it out so that you don't create pockets of low-income families, because that is what really creates, it's like you create, when you keep building housing developments that just house low-income families, you really create pockets of poverty. But if you was able to spread it out throughout the city, it would probably do better for the city. But that's just my opinion and what I've seen over my many
Well,
years.
that would presume that the city had some kind of strategy for developing affordable housing, which they do not have,
Right,
which we as a commission can talk about
right.
and therefore, and then try to work with the council to try to get something implemented. But, um, that may be one of the things we want to talk about in our next agenda item. What kinds of things do we want to work on and talk about in the coming months? But getting back to the actual workforce housing and the MPDU legislation, on the workforce housing legislation, Pat, what do you think? Do you think we should try to talk to Dewan and Brooks and see if they're interested in an updated version of that legislation?
Of the one we did before.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's either that or, propose something along the lines of adopting something very similar to what the county did.
yeah.
Oh, here's Karen.
There's Karen. Yay.
I'm so sorry.
We're
Yeah,
just happy to see you. Hi.
Ooh, I'm so glad to see you all. Okay.
yeah, I
What
glanced through that, fact sheet related to the bill 7224. And kind of the one thing that hit me is there's in some ways not a lot in it. It just requires that, you know, new projects and housing developments have some units
Right, a
that will be
percentage.
more affordable, 75% and below for rentals and 100% and below for single family
Right.
for home ownership. And, if there's a chance to get some additional units, if you bump up the bonus even more, but there's not like reductions in property taxes, unless
No.
they negotiate a separate pilot, and there's no, changes in what the fees are for,
I think there was one fee that was reduced.
what,
If you,
I didn't see it in the fact sheet.
oh, it's I actually quickly looked through the legislation.
Oh, yeah, okay, I did see 50% reduction in capital building connection charge.
Yeah, something like that. It
Yeah,
was something like that.
okay.
Um,
Well, I mean, I can kind of see, I guess, why this one passed, because in some ways it's not nearly as onerous as some of the ones we're hearing about from some of the other counties.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of the counties in both Maryland and in Virginia are trying to do something, and they're just in every place they're running up against horrible opposition. As in Jennifer Lavarelle and yeah, what's that? Did you call her? I haven't called her. Did you call her?
No, I haven't. I don't think I have her phone number anymore, but
I don't either. Is she still at HUD?
yeah, I think she is, which is even more interesting.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to, it's interesting to see how difficult this whole subject remains.
Yeah. When you've got someone that was
Maybe
a affordable housing advocate that works at HUD that's leading the charge against the
I
legislation.
know, I know,
Yeah, I don't
I
get
know.
that.
Um, but yeah, as I said before we were here, it's, you know, if Harris wins, maybe there will be a renewed discussion of affordable housing, and maybe it'll spur something in all of our various jurisdictions. I have no idea. But I had, since Elijah can't be on the call, I had hoped that he would be, so that he could sort of walk us through what's next, what the next step is in terms of the county council's approval of legislation. But because I don't know the county council's procedures or timelines.
Yeah.
So we'll have to pick that part of it up. But in any event, getting back to our own legislation, when we left off, after the debacle of the resolution from, what's his name?
Alderman Savage?
Yeah, Rob Savage. Yeah. The debacle of his resolution that stopped everything cold. So they don't have the excuse anymore. The con plan is done. It includes proposals that would authorize essentially what we had proposed. But I still think there probably are amendments that could be made that would make it more palatable, such as limitations on the number in each ward, the number of these properties that would be transformed to affordable housing in each ward would be limited, and the number on a particular street would be limited. We could figure out some numerical guidelines that would make it more palatable, because as I recall, I mean, it's been a while, but as I recall, there seemed to have been a fear that whole neighborhoods would be taken over by affordable housing if this passed, which of course is absurd.
Nancy, I have not heard that. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just kidding. I'm super late on this, so you might have covered it, but I just wanted to ask, with everybody it seems like they're rolling off city council, and the new city council member, I don't know where he stands.
Well, we did talk about that.
Okay,
and we're going
I'll
to
go back
invite
and
him.
watch.
We're going to invite him to our next meeting,
Great.
to see, so that he can become familiar with us
Okay.
and see if we can interest him in the things that we do.
Okay, great.
So
Great. And the other thing I wanted to ask, with all these apartments going up, like Riva, West Street, that area, is there like a max density for the area, or is adding more housing even a possibility?
Only thing I see on West Street, Karen, is that old gas station that's abandoned.
Yeah.
It's the only place I see on West Street, in my own observation, that we could, in that downtown area. I don't know what's further out West Street, because I think about that stuff all the time when
Yeah.
I ride by, how that could be somewhere for somebody to live.
yeah. The ones that are being built are mostly in the county.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're in the county. So
Okay.
Can we push the city
What's
line
that
up a
vacant
little bit?
area next to Park Place across the
Like
street
that
from
one,
the
huh?
gas station?
Yeah.
what, Pat?
That vacant parcel that's across the street from the gas station next to Park Place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't ever heard anything about that site
I haven't either.
ever been for sale or developed or what, but
Well, and the gas station, the abandoned gas station further
Right.
down West Street,
Yeah, that's the
I don't
one
know
I was thinking of.
I don't know what's planned for that either.
Thought that Gavin and some investors were turning into something.
Oh, and now that he won't be mayor after next year, he probably will glom onto that quickly. But I don't know. Yeah, there are not really too many places to build.
Yeah.
There's virtually nowhere to build in the city.
Yeah.
That's why the workforce housing legislation that promoted renovations and rehab of existing structures should have been more appealing.
Mhm.
so
So-
Denise, from the city's perspective, have you heard rumors about redeveloping the fish market on Tyler and Forest and the
Haven't.
parcels where the garage is and a couple of them down the street? I've heard
I
as
hadn't
many as
heard.
200 units possibly.
Oh, really?
It's very, very, very preliminary, but,
Who's, do you know who's interested or?
well, I wouldn't say because I wouldn't maybe get it right, so.
Okay, all right.
I
So
just
they're
wondered
thinking
how-
that they want to, I had heard a while back about what used to be Goodyear,
Yeah.
the garage that's there.
Or something like that now.
I had heard a while back that there was some talk about what to do with that property, and there had been some discussion about it being, what's it called? The market,
The old fish market?
Oh,
no,
the seafood? Annapolis seafood?
no, across from there, there was some talk of it being,
Oh, the Willows?
no. What's,
No.
okay, all right. Justin Tucker did advertisements for it. It's just, I can't even remember. They have chicken, they have good fried chicken. What's the name of the market? It's on the there's one in Eastport on the corner.
Oh, Royal Farms?
Royal Farms. There had been a lot of discussion. Thank you. There had been a lot of discussion about a Royal Farms where the garage is.
You're kidding.
Oh.
There's already 2 gas stations right there now.
I know,
So
I
now
know, but there had been a
Owen.
discussion about that a long time ago, several years ago. So you're hearing you said there are discussions about taking both those corners and turning it into housing?
Sounded like-
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I do miss the seafood market, but
Yeah, it was good.
Mhm.
well, that would be an interesting thought to see how that, we'll have to try to follow that if in fact it's a real proposal. But the question is, should we pursue getting Dewan and maybe Brooks back into the discussions about the old workforce housing legislation? Is it worth it?
I think it'd be good to find out what they're interested in, number one, and number two, and what they would support.
Yeah, because we obviously need one or both of them to be interested enough to support reintroducing it. Because now that they're gonna, I mean, I think the next agenda item for us as a group will be to maybe we should try to set up a meeting to get not only Harry Huntley at our next meeting, but also
All
Alderman.
3 of them.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
All 3 of them and see where they are.
Yeah, see where they are, see what they're interested in
Yeah.
for our future, because I mean, at this point, there's not much else for us to do unless we can figure out how they want to use us. Because it's one thing to have ideas, it's another. Oh, there's Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got mixed up. I had 2 meetings tonight and this was the one that started earlier, so.
Aha.
Terry and I start our entryway both the same. I'm sorry, because I was late too, Terry.
I looked at my phone like, anyway.
Well, Terry, we held up the meeting just for you. Now,
Yeah, we've been talking about butt cakes and stuff.
I hope not. That would make me feel so bad.
nice
No, what
to
we're
see you.
talking about right now is whether or not we should be focusing on our old piece of legislation, workforce housing. And I had put down the county's new housing legislation, just because there's some elements of that are similar to the ones that are in workforce housing, just sort of as a comparison point. But Elijah's not here, so I had hoped to have him do some work in telling us what the prospects of it are, and what, how it will be pursued, and whether in fact it will actually come to pass.
Now, when we first started this commission long time ago, there was legislation pending that got scuttled for affordable housing.
For us
No,
in
the
the
county,
city,
the
for the
county,
county.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it was when, well, anyway.
They did. They had a workforce housing legislation, which is what we modeled ours after.
Right.
In some ways.
Right.
So now they've picked up some elements of what we had done in terms of zoning changes, and put it in their MPDU legislation. So there's a lot of crossover.
But no, so in the agenda, there was said what the city alder people want us to work on. Has there been any?
That's our next discussion. So the first thing we've just talked about just before you got on call is that we had already talked about the new alderman, and how we were going to involve him, or try to involve him. And so we had decided we would invite him to the next commission meeting. And now, when we had just said we should invite Dewan and Brooks to the next commission meeting as well.
We haven't
joint
gotten
commission meeting.
But we haven't gotten any information from anybody suggesting anything
Correct.
that we work on. That's all I want. I don't want us to have to go back.
No.
I apologize, but okay.
No, we have not gotten anything from anybody. We don't even know, and Denise doesn't even know, if she is our permanent liaison, because the city has not filled Teresa's position, although I understand that a position which is downgraded from her position has now been advertised. So they're trying to hire somebody, but I haven't seen a description, so I don't know exactly what that person will be doing.
They've combined it with being a planner.
Oh.
Planners do something different than program administration.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So
Terry,
honestly,
I'm walking around in these big gigantic boots that I have to fill.
There was a song about that. There was a song about that.
Yeah, well, I inherited the big boots, but my feet are too small. Doing the best I can with what I know.
We appreciate it, and we'll help in any way we can.
I know you will. I got 10 questions. No, I'm just kidding.
We want you back at the HACA meetings too.
Say that again.
We want you back at the HACA meetings also.
oh,
Goodness.
So
if there's a job description and they're advertising, we should be able to read it. It should be on.
yeah, it should be there. I just haven't looked yet. I just found out that they had advertised a position because I talked to Teresa the other day.
Yeah, well, it was a planning position, but they want somebody with program administration. Planning is 100% different than program administration. It's like regulatory oversight is different. I'm familiar with CDBGs from that aspect of regulatory oversight, but to administer the programs, we talked about it before you got here. Girl, I feel like I'm in this, it's a lot. It's a lot. And
so they've given this, okay, we're on the record, but I'll say it. They've given this person more responsibility, but downgraded the position.
Oh, I don't know
Correct.
about the grades or anything like that. I just seen the
That's
advertisement.
what Teresa said, that it's a downgraded position.
Sounds like they're just trying to save money.
Well,
I don't know.
saving
I don't
money,
know.
I won't say on TV what some of the ideas are behind it, but I'm just gonna try to keep it going and just put it all in there the best I can and just hold it down because we could utilize the block grant money and it's just I don't even understand why they combined them, but I guess it is to save money.
But
Yeah.
so the planning director has come to the committee before.
I know he was supposed to come tonight, but I think he got caught up because I was trying to get out the door, and he was still there when I left.
So maybe he
know-
can explain what's going on because it's in his hands,
Yeah.
right?
Well, he, as Denise said, he apparently was going to join us, but obviously has not. So, and over the summer, I mean, before actually, it was before the con plan was passed. He had emailed me, or Denise had called me, and then he had emailed me, and we had tried to set up a discussion, but then he never followed through, and I have not spoken to him since our last meeting. So, and I know he's been busy. Was
Oh,
he in
has he
was he in
ever?
Sweden or whatever, or was he on that trip?
Yeah, he went on that trip, and then when he came back, he got sick. So
Oh,
that's why I couldn't even get back to you on the date
yeah,
because
yeah.
he was sick, and I don't want to put his business out there, but he stays busy. I swear I'm gonna buy him a pair of roller skates for Christmas because he's all over the place. He's really a nice guy to work with, and I just hope that he's trying to fill. We've got other vacant positions he's trying to fill because the other planners are just overwhelmed with all of the, requests and he's doing the best he can. We brought in one new person, but she's more like somebody that just got out of college. But so we did fill one position that's more of a part-time type of position. So he's doing the best he can.
So it seems as though in terms of the workforce housing legislation and whether we are going to reintroduce it in some form or fashion, the decision is that we will get Alderman Gay and Chandlemeyer
And
and Huntley to our next meeting where we can discuss that and see where we go from there. That's about all we can do with that at this point. And then which actually then moves us down to our sixth item on the agenda, which is identification of priorities. We don't know the priorities of the city council. Hopefully the meeting, since we've now decided to invite the alderman to our next commission meeting, maybe we can try to learn some of their priorities. Or do you think it might be helpful for me to try to contact any one of them or both, or at least Alderman Gay and Chandlemeyer, since I know them ahead of time, and see if they have anything they want us to focus on?
Well, you know what might be interesting is to have one of them explain how they see our work benefiting the comprehensive plan that was just adopted.
Right. Good idea. Excellent idea.
And of course, affordable housing was in there.
Right. Right. Well, it essentially the consolidated plan makes it gives all the reasons why the workforce housing legislation should be passed. It uses it as a goal. I mean, it has all of our priorities in there, which is, so all the roadblocks in theory should be taken away, but knows.
So I'm confused a little bit because I thought when we've started this whole activity and got sort of reinvigorated under new name and everything. Part of it was meeting that court order.
Yeah.
There's a court order that says we're supposed to be doing this. I don't know
Right.
that we have a choice. And that, I think maybe we should approach it from that
Agree.
standpoint, that conversation.
That
Are
we're
you
not
talking about
meeting.
the consent decree, Terry?
That's
Yeah.
what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I call it a
Yeah.
court order, but you know, whatever.
It is, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it was the right one.
Because we can't ignore that. And that's why those were our
That
charges.
was our reason d'etre. That's right.
Yeah, so I think that needs to be the conversation. That's our job. We're trying to do it and have them help us figure out how to do it.
Excellent.
Thank
An
you.
excellent point, Terry.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that could, I will contact both Alderman Gay and Alderman Schandelmeyer and make that very point as to why, and in our invitation to our next meeting.
Do any of you have a copy of that consent decree to refer back to? So when you reach out, you can say, well, this is what it said in the consent decree?
We got it a while back, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
where it is. Yeah.
I'll have to find it. But
Well, I think I have
I
one
think-
right on my desk and
Oh,
see-
okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to take a quick review tomorrow.
Okay.
To see what the language is. So that,
Okay.
and even if I just give you the page out that addresses that, that might be, the backbone that you stand on and say, hey, look, this is what this order is, and what are we gonna do?
And I think that over the years, like when Kathy was chair, she may have sent a letter. I mean, maybe we should go back through some of our correspondence and to sort of, I mean, we don't have to, but it might help refresh and
Right.
um,
I have a whole lot of
okay. There you
emails
go. There you
that-
go. Yeah.
that I can go through and see kind of from the beginning how we with when Kathy was there, what the relationship was and any letters she sent. I'm not sure she ever did send them, but I think we outlined a lot of different things at the time.
Yeah. I just
Um,
I don't think we ought to recreate the wheel. I think we should just keep moving forward and not let things backslide, which I think that's sort of the natural inertia, is things just to backslide because it's difficult work, but
Well, at least we can
But-
refresh our memories.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Remember when?
And I think we got to go into this with a bunch of forward motion and momentum, especially with elections next year. And new governor, people dropping off the council. Hopefully we can get some stuff in place.
Speaking of people dropping off the council, Alderman Gay, wasn't he supposed to be gone?
Yeah.
But he's not. So anyone have any ideas about what's going on? Anybody know? No?
I heard the same thing you heard, but I haven't.
You know, when we asked him about that, he didn't commit to leaving. He talked about that he needed to finish his degree and he had a lot going on.
Right.
But he didn't, so, and with the changes with Ellie leaving, no.
Oh, okay. So Pat, you haven't heard anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right. So, but I do think that's a good approach, Terry, is to recall our purpose and why we are here and refresh their memories as well.
And make and check that.
We're trying
check
to
the
implement
folder.
this consent decree, and
Mhm.
that's why you created us.
What if we took the tack of assuming we have to move forward with it because that's our job and that's what we tasked with, and we
Right.
start talking about the changes that we could make to the bill to make it more palatable, to do it more slowly. Maybe that's our conversation, what we work on, because I mean, even that article in Montgomery County, people are scared.
Yeah.
So we figure out a way to slowly ease it in. I know you had some ideas. I had some thoughts. I don't know if other
Yeah.
people have
Yeah,
that. Through. Maybe that's what it should be, more not about whether we do it, but how we do it.
that would be a good approach, since the obstacles of the not having the con plan are removed.
And they went on record as saying, bring it back.
Yeah, they did.
So we should just, we're gonna bring it back. So what do
We're
you want us to
assuming
bring
that we're
back?
going to do it then. We assume we want to bring it
I don't know how
back.
other people feel, but that's just the way I feel. So
That I feel that way as well. I think it's about the only thing that makes sense. So I'll try to craft an email to both of them about it and see where we go from there. But definitely invite them to our next meeting. Do any of you have any other ideas about what you would like the commission to do? I know you do, Terry, in terms of education.
yeah, well, I don't think we're gonna get that legislation passed unless we are giving some education out there about what it is and what it isn't, because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
100%, and really laying out what workforce housing actually means, that it's not as scary as people think it is.
Yeah.
It's probably you. It's definitely me.
Not me anymore.
Rub it in.
Nice. That's very nice.
Not me anymore.
Well, it certainly was when we moved to Annapolis. We were in that category.
Yes. Yes. So Terry, what are some of your ideas for what this program can look like? What is it that we want to be doing?
The education piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hillary had suggested working with the Annapolis, I want to say public relations, but that communication director or something, that would be something perfect for her to work on. The other thing, if you go back through the presentation of the comp plan, there was some really good information put out there. We don't have,
Yeah.
I keep using this term, but a lot of good stuff's already been done. We can pick up on what's been done and just,
Right. And the Anne Arundel County Affordable Housing Coalition, is that what they're called, Pat?
Well, is that the one with Trudy's with?
Yeah.
I was against
I
the
mean,
legislation.
they've done a lot of, I know they were against it. She was against it because she
She
didn't
was
want it done.
personally against it, not the
she was
coalition, but she was
right.
personally against it, yeah.
Right.
She thought it went too far. I think that was my words, but
Yeah, no, I do remember.
Yeah.
But
Is she still the chair?
oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, I like Trudy. I've worked with her before on this committee. It's just that she has strong opinions about trying to do it across the board. And maybe that's something to listen to too. Maybe we shouldn't be doing it across the board everywhere. Choose certain places. I don't know.
We could either consider that, or also in the legislation, I think we talked about limiting the numbers of units that could be done at any one time in any one neighborhood.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But
one thing it'd be good to do, which I would sidetrack there for a second, I was trying to do, but I read over pages 190 to 195 of the comprehensive plan, which are the actual recommendations as to what should be done. So I'd suggest we should use that as sort of a baseline of what we're trying to accomplish and find out what they're, what the aldermen are willing to support and such.
Well, I would just clarify that we're implementing the plan. It's not what we're trying. We are implementing the plan as it's stated, right?
Right.
yeah.
Because that was used as the reason why we couldn't pass any of this stuff last year and year before.
Exactly.
Right.
So, okay, now it's passed, let's do it.
All right. I will try within the next couple of weeks to put together an email to Alderman Gay and Chandlermeyer that includes a lot of these ideas we've just talked about. And to try to get them re-engaged. And before I send it, I will send it out to all of you so you can edit it, add what you think needs to be added, so that kind of get our commission off the ground again. It has been a while, so it will be within the next week or so that I will do that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
And Terry, if you, within that same time period, could think about ideas of what you would do with this education program, we can sort of have that in our back pocket as something else we would like to do and talk about with the aldermen. See if there's anything, see if they'd like to participate in this.
Well, I think, and it's just the beginning, but I think we have to use lots of different folks to get the word out and to get that
Yeah.
information out. So, yeah, so I think we need to think of a group, the best way to do it, who to work with to do it. I don't, but certainly the PR piece, the information we can create. I think it's already been created. We just need to pull it together. That's all.
Right. I agree. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about in terms of what we do in the future? No?
Out of what we do in the future, but I can give you a quick update on HACA.
I would like to have that, actually. That'd be great.
Sure. So most of you probably know Robinwood has a selected developer for redevelopment. And that's Community Housing Partners, CHP, out of Richmond and Christiansburg. But they're in the process of looking at the property, talking with people. There was even a conversation with the school the other week about how they could make a safer passage between Robinwood and the middle school, rather than having the kids all go out to Forest Drive.
Forest Drive, yeah.
But one of the pieces too is that, as part of the redevelopment that under the RAD program, there'd be an increase potentially in the number of units, because Robinwood, quite frankly, is low density. But apparently by right, you could build as many as 200 units on that site. So that would be an increase of, I don't know, I think it's 157 units or something like that. So be an
150.
additional, 40 some units. So anyway, that's under process. I mean, with a selected developer now, it's just a matter of taking the long time period it does to envision what the thing's going to look like and getting it approved and designed and all that. So I suspect we're probably at least 2 years from ever turning the shovel. But it would be a complete redevelopment of the property. You're not going to try to, keep the buildings or anything like that. The Choice Neighborhoods Initiative is also moving. We've got an RFP went out to select developers for that site for Eastport Harbor House redevelopment. And the other piece of good news, which was on the agenda or on the minutes from the May meeting, was about Spot Road, and Spot Road has been formally committed to Choice Neighborhoods development. So we'll be then part of this RFQ is we did get responses back, probably 10 to 15 different developers or at least interested parties. Some of them were architects and other professionals involved in it. And we had a meeting, both an online meeting to sort of discuss the qualifications and what we're looking for. And then there was an actual meet and look at the properties meeting about a month ago. I think it was early October. So we all, walked the site, Eastport, Harbor House, and then went over to Spa Road. And I believe both Chris and Eric were there, if I remember right, or at least Eric was for sure. And we talked about, what could be done at the Spa Road site. But given the need to redevelop, the property from scratch in essence, tear it totally down and rebuild, We'd have to stagger that and, being able to build, say, on Spa Road first and move some folks there at the same time. Maybe use some of the, existing parcel at, Eastport where the fields are to rebuild something new, should be able to just shift people around out there without, having much relocation. Good thing too. But that one again is, even further out, if you will. And, I think the final proposals are due in mid-November, if I remember right. So at some point then, next few months after that, would be a selection of a master developer for the project. And then it would, kind of start in earnest and start looking for the money. I mean, it is not a cheap development. It's going to be anywhere from maybe $400 to $600 million total development.
More than that.
Yeah, well, somewhere in that range. But it's obviously way more than
300
the
million.
state's ever got in bond cap or anything like that. So it's like we're gonna have to pay over several years just to be able to pull together the money to be able to do it.
So Pat, are you saying that the Spa Road site's being connected to the Harbor House redevelopment?
Yeah.
Part
Would
of choice
be-
neighborhoods.
Does it have to be?
It's basically the city's commitment to the choice neighborhood development.
So, but it could be two different developers?
It's
3 or 4.
probably
It
not.
could be.
Okay, so not just one. Okay,
Right.
okay, all right.
Depends on the capacity of the developer. If you're looking at a small developer,
Uh-huh.
and you need more based on the dollar amount that it's gonna cost for that redevelopment.
Yeah.
And I've already
Yes.
said it's gonna cost them close to 300 million. There's no doubt in my mind.
And that's because of the remediation that needs to be done for the
So
environmental things.
that remediation is not gonna be cheap.
Well,
No.
the city's gonna pay for the remediation before it's turned over to the developer. But
Okay.
that will need to take place too. But we're talking, I think it was 500 plus units or something like that altogether between the replacements and the additional units. So, you factor, well, I don't know if you go and range what tax credit unit is right now, but it's gotta be somewhere around four to $700,000 depending on location. So
The 500 units would be both developments or one
yeah,
development?
that'd be the whole
The whole
concept,
thing, okay.
whole choice neighborhood concept.
Mhm.
So I think as part of that education piece, I was thinking we should explain the different approaches to housing.
Yeah,
That would be one of them, talking about what's happening and the number of units and, and how that's different than what we're talking about with workforce housing, because everybody lumps everything together. So,
Well, Terry, the thing about the Choice Neighborhood Initiative and the redevelopment is they have to replace the initial number of public housing units.
right.
It's a 357. Oh God, let me not use the word concept. No, but the other portion, the other additional units are more looked at to be market rate units to set off the operational costs, because they may not be able to operate a community of that size just on public housing funds. So they're looking at probably some market rate units and it's not, so that could be part of workforce housing as well.
Right.
That market rate unit size. So just something food for
Well, I
thought.
don't want to muddy the waters, but
Well, just, but it's a very complex deal, and in my experience, you're gonna have a whole lot of different people investing. You'll probably get some tax credit folks, and Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, you're gonna get some investment from HUD, but the majority of that money is gonna come through private, well, not private, but tax credit investors. So that's gonna be the big draw of cash, because that's how they're gonna get the money to redevelopment.
Yeah, I mean, all the other grant projects that have been done, whether it's Wilburn or Overy, all those were tax credit developments, but certain units are set aside as either public housing units or
No,
their
they overlap, the programs overlap.
units or their tax credit units without a subsidy. So there's a pretty wide variety of the type of units that are in some of these. And I think that the part of the plan for the Eastport Harbor House redevelopment is that there would be some market rate units as part of that too.
So you can have public housing units and tax credit units, and they can be the same units. You know, so but your biggest cash cow is going to be the tax credit investments, because that's going to give you the startup cash, and then the HUD is only, I don't know, based on my understanding of a choice neighborhood, I think you can apply every year for the grant. I want to say that Melissa explained that at one of the meetings, maybe not. It might have been the city hall meeting, I don't know, but it's every year they can apply for additional grant money from HUD once they get
Really?
the first grant. That's the way she explained it, but I'm not an expert there.
I think that's true. It's just, hopefully the choice neighborhood program keeps getting funded.
Because
Yeah.
Certain thing either. So.
yeah, and then they probably throw, they usually use what I call or define as bridge money. So if you have a gap in what the investments are and what the HUD gives you, then the state will come in with some state programs. One of the ones that I'm familiar with is the rental partnership housing program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's not that's usually the repayment of that money is normally deferred in perpetuity as long as you keep it affordable. So you probably have 5 or 6 different type of resources. They might throw some home money in there. So every one of those programs has some kind of restriction on it, and sometimes the restrictions overlap. So you can have one unit that satisfies 2 restrictions, maybe a tax credit and a Section 8 requirement. And with tax credits now, they can use the what they call income averaging. So you can
Right.
bring in people with the higher incomes and people with the lower incomes, as long as it averages out to that 60% of AMI. I'll tell you, this housing thing is just gotten so complicated. It used to just be cut and dry, but you'll be surprised the kind of money. And when you get those developers with those deep pockets, those big developers, they're the ones that really come up with a lot of the money, for them. And, it's just a lot of money. And I'm still going to say 300 million. That's my number, 300 million. But they may save money on relocation if they develop it in phases. Isn't that what they did with Old Berry Court, College Creek? Didn't they do that in 3 different phases when they developed that? Does anybody know?
Really, no, that's about the time I moved in Annapolis, so I didn't really see the development going on.
I think College Creek was in phases. My
Yeah,
memory.
it was. Yeah, Old Berry Court, College Creek. Yeah, well, I think it's 3
Oh,
phases.
Overy Creek, yeah, Overy Creek is 3 different phases. I thought you were talking about Bloomsbury, which is.
No,
that
I
one-
remember when they did Bloomsbury Square. I used to work for Mr. Rogers, but not at that time when he developed that. But he developed 2 of the public housing developments up there in Baltimore. And they took up 800 units, and now they were trying to decrease the density. Now they want to increase it. So I don't know. I just think that everybody, all of us working people, have really been outpriced in the market. So it's just a lot.
One last housing authority thing is Bloomsbury or Plum is about 65% complete right now.
Oh,
No,
that's
it's
good.
not. It's not 65, Patrick. It's not 65% complete.
That's what we were told last week.
Well, working in planning and zoning, I know it's not 65% complete. I would probably say they're down to like maybe the 5th and 6th floors, the last I heard.
Yeah, but I
You
think
could be wrong. You might know something more than I
work in
do.
the elevators and things like that aren't floor specific. So,
Yeah, but the units, I thought they was like on the 5th floor now.
no, that sounds right.
Yeah, so.
All right. Okay, so we all have, we have, Terry's gonna work a little on the education thing. I'm gonna do something to the aldermen. Try to get them engaged again and invite them to our meeting next month.
I'm gonna look at the consent decree and give you.
You're gonna look at the
you have
consent
the
decree
language
for
of
us.
what
Okay,
exactly
good.
It's a memory refresher. We're not holding anybody to it, just sort of refresh our memories of what they
Yes,
were requiring
yes.
us to do.
If you like, I can reach out to, like, I know the lady that runs a D30 club and clubs like that to see if we can get in to speak to people to talk about it.
That could be a part of Carrie's education strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, for
So
sure.
I think, Karen, you said you wanted to work on that, the education piece? Did I
Yes,
get that?
she
I'd
did.
love to.
Yeah.
So the two of
At
you.
lunch.
Yes.
All righty. Anything else, guys, that we can think of at the moment?
Good to see you all again. I'm glad to get back on this
It
mission.
is good to see you, and we'll see if we can get this going. And Denise, anything you need, let us know.
Help,
And
will
thank-
somebody come and
thank you.
volunteer? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And thank you for the things that you are going to do, and for trying to fill in with
And I appreciate your support. That's all I can say. A year from now, I'd be an expert at this stuff.
okay.
So,
Enjoy
All
your-
right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. Let's adjourn. Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Adam?
Aye.
Right.
And we are adjourned
All right.
to meet again in November. The date escapes me, but I will let you know as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thanks.